All right, now we're going to start getting into the more meta topics. We're going to start getting into human perception and how identity works and reference experiences. And the reason I'm teaching you these things is even though they seem a little bit more meta and less, how would you say, applicable for your day-to-day sale, they're important. And they're important because you have to understand at a base level what makes a human tick in order to properly sell them. And so that you can start not being a sales parrot of me or any other sales guru out there, but becoming your own salesperson. So let's start. Reference experience. Reference experience is a specific situation or event that someone has lived through, which becomes a point of reference for understanding and interpreting similar situations in the future. And you can kind of think of this like a whole bunch of pieces of paper stacked on top of one another, with each individual piece of paper being its own reference experience. Let's take a kid in a grocery store, for example. And this kid is in the grocery store and he sees a candy that he wants. And the kid thinks to himself, I'm gonna cry to get that candy. So he starts crying, his parents get embarrassed, and they fold and they give him the candy bar. What do you think happens next time the kid's in the grocery store and sees a candy he wants? He starts crying, and let's say parents continue this habitual folding every time their kid acts up and cries. Over a long enough period of time, kid starts to learn crying equals candy. So they start to cry in order to get candy, and their identity starts to be, in order to get what I want, I cry. Now, we all know an adult who still is crying over their metaphorical candy. A lot of times this follows us all the way into adulthood. Okay, let's take that same kid now, and let's say that he's out with his grandparents, and grandparents do not tolerate kids crying for candy bars. So he's out with his grandparents. Grandparents say no when he cries, and they do not give him the candy bar. You would think that that might make it so that the reference experiences prior to that don't stick, but that's not the case. Because let's say, for example, he has 30 reference experiences of crying equals candy bar, and now he's got one reference experience of crying doesn't equal candy bar. That's still a 29-to-1 ratio. It'd have to be a pretty stupid kid not to do the math there and say, crying seems like it still works for getting candy bars. Most of the time, it's an effective strategy. So the kid continues to cry to get candy bars. Now, how do we use this in a sale? I was teaching a guy, let's call him Gilbert. I was teaching Gilbert. Gilbert is the nicest human you've ever met. He's like the golden retriever of human beings. Everybody that talks to this guy loves him. Everybody loves Gilbert. Gilbert's awesome. His talk times were like through the roof, by the way. He could get people to open up that otherwise never would. But there was a problem. His close rate was terrible. His close rate was terrible because Gilbert would be talking to these people, and at the very end of the conversation, he would flip from nice guy Gilbert to all of a sudden this hard, heartless closer, and they would wonder, where did our friend Gilbert go? You seem like this asshole closer guy who's just trying to get a deal. And they felt kind of tricked. And because of that, they would often just hang up on him and get really mad because they had opened up their whole life story, and now Gilbert, who they thought was this nice, friendly guy, is no longer that friendly guy. So he had created reference experiences throughout the call that he was a certain way, and then at the end of the call, they figured out that that was not the case. So all we did is we started implementing some rapport breaking or some RB tonality throughout his call earlier on, making him more dominant and appear more dominant throughout the sales call, and because he was tending to only speak in a rapport-seeking manner. And through doing so, when he would get to the end, all of a sudden, it didn't seem out of character. It didn't seem like their nice guy Gilbert was turning on them, but rather that this was just an extension of his personality. And as soon as we did that, his talk times were not only good, but his closing ratios started to become good. Reference experiences, super critical. Make sure you get them down. If you have any questions, put them in the chat, and I will answer as many questions about any of these topics as I possibly can get to. If not, my team will also help you guys out as well. I'll see you guys in the next one.